Yes, I've been gone for quite some time and it has been a long time coming, but I wanted to take time to actually address what is going on in the current landscape and why I think that this is such an important topic to discuss when regarding our favorite artists and their futures. And of course, the future generation of those artists that are not necessarily debuted yet. So without further ado, let's jump into it. K-pop artists and companies are shifting with the times despite their firmly grounded roots. For years, companies created demands for these artists and expectations. These expectations are dictated like any other music label or business venture by shareholders and board of directors. The signed contracts would be upheld and management would keep the machine finely tuned. However, nearly since the beginning of fourth generation, more cracks have started to show, and just 20 years ago, an artist's departure was taboo and even more were major company shifts. Since K-pop is a younger industry, there are bound to be new developments in comparison to places like Japan and the US. However, the departures of legacy acts into independent brands with their own IP still intact, group lawsuits that prevail, and K-pop juggernaut agencies that fluctuate, we knew with K-pop globalization and social media overtaking, things would change. The results in real time, however, are still surprising. So let's take a glance at the timeline of the current SM Saga, the new crop of artists challenging the system, and what this can mean moving forward for the future of K-pop. Let's start off with the SM Saga as people know it. For me, the spark came in when Man in 2022 September was rumored to be terminated by shareholders involving his off-the-table company Like Planning. And then things started to really roll over in 2023 with the change in management structure creating subsidiaries for artists and IP as of February 5th. However, in the last days, we've seen things like Kakao jump into the SM game, acquiring 9% of its stake as of the 7th of February, Hive jumping in for a 14% stake and acquiring SM shares from Man on the 9th, and then of course recently Hive set to acquire an additional 25%, totaling to nearly 40% of SM as a whole as of recently. Although artists owning their own labels is not extremely rare, the latter half of 2010 saw the biggest trend of newly independents. Between 2018 to 2020, many established stars like Ravi of VIX, CL of 21, Hyorin of Sistar, former Icon member BI, and Minzy of 21. While the nature of why and detail each artist left their company varies, it's been a notable sign that artists are slowly deviating from their starter agency and getting weary of the main K-pop label system. The ultimate trigger for most K-pop fans came in the form of YG's infamous label exodus, GOT7's departure from JYP as well, with the former being the most recent shock of contract renewals news. One of the biggest headlines is recent K-pop news involving the fate of Luna with Blockberry Creative and its former member Chu, as Chu and most of the members of Luna have filed lawsuits to cancel their contracts and have stopped a comeback. Not to mention, the unfortunate treatment of Omega X was also a sign of the times needing to change in the management of artists. Therefore, it wasn't too surprising that eventually these shifts in control would trickle into the agencies themselves, as the godfather of the K-pop agencies SM Entertainment began to shift through shareholders' opinions over the past months, while at the same time trying to manage these shifts of the industry and K-pop globalization. Looking at these tweaks to the industry as isolated incidents would make only one think that they're only slightly messy. However, taking these as a greater piece of the puzzle makes you wonder about the future of K-pop. So what does the future of K-pop look like? I feel like when I think about the future of K-pop, I take it from a business perspective as a prediction of the opening of the market's diversity evolving from the centralization of the classic big three labels, and even the four when you include Cube. With so many current trends going on from outside of Korea influencing Korean artists, and the investments being brought in for idols from foreign brands, and the globalization of its most popular award show like Mama, with so many artists of the previous two generations holding records exclusively in Korea during its centralization era, 4th Gen and beyond opens more room with pulling its border of international audiences closer, more so than the broad demographics of its local markets of Korea and Japan. And while the industry is navigating these changes, fans of the artist will continue to see responses to the changes in the form of events and music releases. In my opinion, Man being removed from power is nothing new. I think that this was speculated for longer than just what we saw in September. I do believe that the shareholders wanted to go in a different direction with the company anyway. However, it wasn't just Isoman that was the case, but you also had to involve the co-CEOs as well and what they wanted to do about the company. So for a long time, I feel like this was supposed to be a constant flux with SM from the top of the food chain. However, we're now seeing the fruits of this in real time due to the pressure getting really tense. And for most people, SM's artists have also been faltering in quality regarding their releases.